whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, I'm just going to have to be the nag and the scold that reminds you it's all down to Georgia. No matter what happens with the Trump legal challenges, we cannot afford to let the Democrats take the Senate. Here is an ad. This is called Saving the Senate. Real important ad that is going to get a lot of airtime.
This is America. But will it still be if the radical left controls the Senate? Raphael Warnock called police thugs and gangsters, hosted a rally for communist dictator Fidel Castro, and praised Marxism in speeches and writings. Raphael Warnock will give the radicals total control. Saving the Senate is about saving America from that.
I'm Kelly Loeffler. I approve this message.
Now, those are the kind of ads you're going to hear a lot of. Of course, you're going to hear a ton of ads about what a normal mainstream Georgian Warnock is, how Ossoff, forget all his failed elections. He's exactly what Georgians want. And you know what we better guard against? We better guard against complacency. And I'm already seeing it. I'm already hearing people say, oh, let's just have everybody mail in ballots in Georgia. I got a frantic call from a colleague yesterday who made a tremendous point. Why isn't the Georgia legislature, he asked, fighting to address all of the fraud that will happen with scores and scores of mail-in ballots? Is there any doubt, and if I'm barking up the wrong tree, I want you to tell me, is there any doubt in your mind that the reason we've got 72 million angry Americans is because this election came down to the unprecedented mail-in ballots because the Democrats really, really wanted this kind of, quote, election reform? You know that's a huge, huge part of their agenda. Reform the election. You need to read a great piece by Kimberly Strassel at the Wall Street Journal. We've posted it at MikeOnline.com. HR1 is where it started. And you start getting into, and admittedly a little bit in the weeds, about what the Democrats had been scheming when it comes to harvesting the 2020 election. That's the piece by Kimberly Strassel. And the fact is, Democrats were focused and have been focused for a couple of years now on empowering the federal government to dictate how states conduct elections with new rules designed to water down ballot integrity and to corral huge, huge numbers of Democrat voters. Early voting, mail-in ballots, 16-year-olds registered to vote 2 years in advance. This is the Stacey Abrams playbook. The bill that they want would require no-fault absentee ballots. Anyone can vote by mail for any reason. It envisions prepaid postage for federal absentee ballots. It would cripple most state voter ID laws. It left in place ballot harvesting rules that let paid activists canvass neighborhoods to scoop up absentee votes. Democrats grandly named their bill the For the People Act. The editors at National Review described it as an unconstitutional authoritarian power grab. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell decried the bill as a naked attempt to change the rules of American politics to benefit one party. He called it the Democrat Politician Protection Act. Kimberly Strassel is trying to warn America that even though that bill didn't succeed, Pelosi didn't really need it. Using the virus as an excuse, Democratic and liberal groups brought scores of lawsuits to 4 states to adopt its provisions. Many Democrat politicians and judges happily agreed. States mailed out ballots to everyone. Judges disregarded statutory deadlines for receipt of votes. They scrapped absentee ballot witness requirements. States set up curbside voting, drop-off boxes. They signed off on ballot harvesting, meaning the fix, as it were, was in well before they even began starting to count the votes. Pollsters aside, she writes, political operatives understood this election would be close. The Democratic strategy from the start, Kim Strassel writes, as evidenced by the legal onslaught, was to get rules in place that would allow them to flood the zone with additional mail-in ballots. Now, I appreciate country club Republicans who sit around and say, yeah, let's not rock the boat here. Let's not, we got a 2020. It's a very unusual year. It might be bad weather on election day in Atlanta. We got to let everybody mail in ballots. Kim Strassel says Republicans fought the worst changes of the Stacey Abrams, Pelosi, that whole scheme, but we're up against the virus excuse. The question is whether they now understand the stakes. And I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't think a lot of my fellow Republicans do. Kim Strassel says this election was a mere glimpse of the system Mrs. Pelosi wants nationwide. And she has already said election reform might again be her top priority in 2021. So, as Kimberly Strassel says in a piece that everybody should read, the GOP's job is to harness voters' frustration about the murky mess that was this year's vote into a movement that demands transparency and renewed integrity of the ballot, or risk a lot of 2020 repeats.